Bedtime Stories 36, When Men Feel Lost. A story of strength and spirit. Moral: true strength is found in vulnerability, resilience, and spiritual awakening. In the dead silence of 2 a.m., Ben sat alone in his car, engine off, hands gripping the steering wheel as if it could steer his life back on course. 3 months ago, he had it all: a 6-figure job, a condo with skyline views, and the love of his life. Now, it was all gone. The layoff was sudden, the breakup brutal. Friends faded like smoke when things got tough. Ben stared at the dashboard. "Who am I without everything I built?" Smee whispered. The next morning, he walked into a local cafe, not for coffee, but to escape the echo of his empty apartment. He noticed a man at the corner table, sketching in a battered notebook. Older, quiet, strong. They made eye contact. The man nodded. Ben nodded back. It was the first human connection in weeks. That man was Elijah, a retired Marine turned artist. Over time, Elijah became a silent mentor. He didn't offer advice, just presence, a firm handshake, listening ear. One evening, Elijah slid his sketchbook toward Ben. Inside was a drawing of a lone tree rooted deep in a storm. "You remind me of this," he said, "still standing, even when it's rough." Ben started journaling, first with anger, then grief, eventually clarity. He remembered the words his grandfather once told him: "When you feel buried, son, maybe you're just planted." So he stopped trying to rebuild the old and started shaping the new. He volunteered at a local shelter, sharing meals and moments with those who had lost even more. Their stories opened his heart. One man, formerly a banker, now taught poetry to kids. Another, a former carpenter, began building tiny homes for veterans using salvaged wood, donated nails, and a whole lot of heart. Ben saw something familiar in their eyes. Pain, yes, but also peace. He asked one of them, "How do you move on from everything?" The man smiled. "You don't move on, you move through. With faith." Faith. Ben hadn't thought of God in years. Not since he'd made success his savior. That night, he sat by his window and prayed not with eloquence, but with honesty. "God, I don't know what's next, but I don't want to feel alone anymore." Tears came, and with them, the first sense of warmth he'd felt in a long time. The next morning, he felt lighter. Not healed, but held. He returned to the cafe. Elijah smiled. "Found something?" Ben nodded. "Maybe I found someone." They talked for hours about God, struggle, and starting over. Elijah showed him a page from Psalms. "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted." Ben carried that verse in his wallet. It was more than a reminder. It was a new foundation. Weeks turned into months. Ben began offering mentorship to others at the shelter. He helped men write resumes, shared stories, prayed with them when they asked. In serving others, he rediscovered himself. He wasn't the man he used to be, but he was becoming someone better. Found work at a community outreach center. Less money, more meaning. Each evening, he walked the long way home. Not to avoid pain, but to appreciate peace. The world hadn't changed, but he had. Elijah passed away that fall, a stroke in his sleep. Ben wept like he had lost family. At the funeral, Ben gave the eulogy. Elijah didn't just draw strength, he gave it away. He opened the old sketchbook. The tree was still there. That night, Ben got his first tattoo. The tree, rooted and standing tall. It reminded him, storms don't break you, they shape you. Ben started a podcast, Rooted, Stories of Real Men Rising. It grew fast. Men called in from everywhere, sharing truth without shame. One said, "Your story saved my life." Ben choked up. He replied, "God saved mine. I just finally let him." Ben never stopped rebuilding. But now, he built with grace, not ego. He laughed more, loved deeper, prayed often. Sometimes he still felt lost, but he never felt alone. Every morning he whispered, "Guide me, God, I'll follow." He became a husband, a father, a faithful man. He taught his son, courage isn't never falling. It's rising every time you do. And when storms came, as they always do, he stood in them with peace. The past didn't haunt him anymore. It humbled him, okay? And that made him stronger. He no longer searched for status. He searched for truth. He found it in prayer, in pain, in people, and most of all, in purpose. So when men felt lost, Ben told them, "You're not broken, you're becoming, okay? And you are not alone." Thank you so much for joining me in watching Bedtime Stories 36, When Men Feel Lost, Story of Strength and Spirit. I hope you enjoyed the story as much as I had in creating it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more great up-and-coming bedtime stories and Bible study for the parents under their supervision. Good night and sweet dreams until next time.